Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us on today's podcast. I am your host, Ibrahim Tovi, and today we're having a wonderful, amazing guest in our midst, Barrister Shine Eyinaya Umosu. He is a public servant, a public speaker, a philanthropist, and he's very determined. And the best of it all is that he is a novelist, and he's publicly known for his best-selling book, Soul King. And Soul King is a book that is set in the Atlantic slave trade era. The book is centered around exploitation and societal prejudice. Welcome, Mr. Shine.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So today we'll be centering around Nigeria. We all know the current situation of our beloved country, Nigeria, where there are banditry, kidnapping, high cost of living, fuel price, and all that. So, Mr. Shine, what do you think are the problems of our country today?
To start it, it's good and vital that you asked that question. The problem, I will say, and many people do not realize it actually, because we've never looked at it the way it is. We've never said, this is the problem. I'm still waiting to hear someone say, this is actually the issue, this is actually the problem, this is actually the cause of our problem. And the truth is that we keep pointing at the wrong thing, we keep looking and saying we keep facing the wrong direction. Yeah, we keep facing the wrong direction. We keep saying the things. I just strongly believe that the things we are saying there is the problem or there are the issues that we have are not. But I can assure you that it's quite much and it is multifaceted. Yeah, I agree with that. But the truth is, I think there is that one thing, that one vital thing that once we start attacking it, once we start addressing it, once we start looking into it, maybe there will be hope for us. What I'm talking about is it's a concept that I don't hear people talk about much, and that is culture. Because it doesn't say, oh wow, that's the revolution, does it?
It doesn't.
Culture. You see, when the truth is, if we are being truthful and if we are being honest to ourselves, we should have, as a people, sat down and asked ourselves this same very question you're asking me. How did we get here? What is the issue? What is the cause of our problems? Why are things the way they are? I don't think we do that. But even if we do, I think our concept and our thinking about it's wrong. Why? Have we asked ourselves? Have we sat down and said, this is the problem and this is the solution? When I say it is culture, I'm talking about, and I am referring to the fact that culture is the reason why you do the things you
do as a Nigerian, right?
Well, I don't know if it's as a Nigerian, but when you get to some academic thinking or some let me say some courses or some branches of science or education or thinking or courses or however you put it. I'm talking about courses like sociology, like psychology, and they're really looking into this problem and they are trying to find out and understand why and ask the question, why are things this way and why are things the way they are? You yourself, a number of us, we are upcoming and we will call ourselves the youth, and we are thinking, what could be the reason if this is what people are saying and it is in fact not the reason? And let me tell you something about culture. You see, culture is in a way, it is an inherited ethical habit. When you ask the question, why do people behave the way they do? Why do people do the things they do? Science has two answers for you. Science will say it's an age-long argument. Science will say it is either nature or it is nurture. What are they talking about? They are saying that you behave the way you behave. You do the things you do. You act the way you act because of your gene. Because of your gene. Of what you inherited, of your biology and your environment. These two components, they come together and they make up and they determine who you are, who you actually turn out to be. A lot of the thinkers and a lot of the people that have looked into the issue, they come up and they were certain that it is not actually biology per se. There is a tilt and a strong belief that the bigger picture, the bigger part and aspect of, or the components that is determining who you are and why you are the way you are, is actually nurture, is actually environment, is actually culture. These are rules and programs that are passed down from generation to generation, determining how you behave I will give you an example. In China, chopsticks are what they use to eat, right?
Yes.
It's not because chopsticks are the best in the world or the better. They use it because when they were there, growing up, they were giving birth to, and growing up, it is what they were introduced to. So that's culture, actually. You see, culture is an irrational way of behaving that you don't think about because it's passed down. The food you like to eat is because of what you were taught is good food and bad food.
Yes.
The fact that you behave in a particular way is because of what you were taught and told. This is the good and this is the bad way to behave. The clothes you wear, your religion, your name, the language you're speaking, every single thing about you is as a result of culture. Is as a result of you were born, you were given birth to, you were brought up, and you said, this is the language you should speak. This is the way you should go. This is how you are supposed to behave. You see, there are norms and there are rules. As a man, you have your role to play.
Yes.
Your role is determined by culture. If you want to understand it in a clear, if you want to experiment and understand it, just probably, it is unfortunately it's happening now. Just probably put on a female clothing and walk around. It's yes, because it's yes. Do you understand now?
Yes, I do.
You are doing this because you were brought up and you were told you're a man and this is how men dress.
Yes, exactly.
So you are thinking you're unique, you are thinking but the way you are doing your thing, the way you are acting, the way how you are trustworthy, how you are not, these are because of the things in the society. There's a concept called sociological imagination, and what that thing is saying is that, for instance, this Nigeria is the way it is, and both of us we are doing what we are doing now. Just let's imagine that Nigeria is there is a war going on in Nigeria, probably an international civil war. There's war going on right now. Both of us will be here. Both of us will probably be in the military.
Yes.
You'll probably be a jet fighter, and I'll probably be a marine.
Yes.
Why because the idea is this: the society determines who you are. The society, what is going on in the society determines the role you get to play. So, had it been there was war now, we will be in the military, and if I ask you now, you wouldn't say I am who I am now. No. You would say no. You wouldn't. For instance, somebody can come up and say I'm a pastor, and he or she is going to church preaching. But if there is war now, he will tell you I'm a military officer.
Yes.
Do you understand that?
Yeah,
So that is who he is at that moment because of what the society has made him to be. So culture is what determines behavior. It is what makes us do the things we do. And like I said, it is irrational. You're not thinking about it. You're not conscious about what you're doing. You're not conscious about what you are trying to, or how you are trying to behave, because it's been put inside you without your efforts, and you are just playing it out.
We don't understand.
Yeah. So Nigeria is a third world country. Yeah. When you know it's quite disheartening that when you see a picture of a poor person, the next thing you see an African child. When they tell you there's famine in the world, the next thing you see a picture of an African child. It's isn't it a culture? It is, isn't it? So let's look at some statistics. Out of the first 10 poorest countries in the world, Africa has 8 out of the 10. So it is not only a cultural thing in Nigeria, it is across the border. Out of the top 20 poorest countries in the world, Africa has 18.
18.
Yes, 18. You see? So it is not when people go about it, they're like Nigeria is this, Nigeria is this, but it's across the nation. And now I'm just giving you an example of the continent. Now let's even take it global. Let me give you this analysis. In the United States of America, majority of the population are white, Caucasian whites. They have about 60-something%. The minority there are blacks with about 12%. In America, we keep saying Nigerians are poor, Nigerians are illiterate, Nigerians are criminally minded. In America, the poorest people in America are the African Americans. The most uneducated are the African Americans, the blacks. The most incarcerated are the African Americans. Yes, in terms of number, this is the analogy. Let's say there are 100 people in America, right? 60% of them are white. Yes, then if 60% of them are white, there are 10 white people who get incarcerated, who gets in prison, or who have an issue with the law enforcement at one point or the other in their life. But the calculation is this. Now the blacks are 12% of the population, but they have why you will say they are the most incarcerated is because out of that 12% that they have, probably about 8% of them have been incarcerated at one point or the other. So yes, the whites have the major number, but compared to their population, it is more because the whites, the blacks are they are minority, but they have the majority of them that have been incarcerated. I don't know if you understand that.
Yeah, I do.
60%, right? Only 10 people go to prison, and that 10 is higher than probably the 8 that the 12% has. But when you make the calculation, they have the higher number of persons amongst them that have been incarcerated. So that should tell you something. I'll come back to these comparisons that I'm making. Let's come to South Africa. South Africa is a country that has majority as blacks and minority as whites. Yes. And guess what? The poorest in South Africa are the blacks. The poorest, the most illiterate in South Africa are the blacks. And the most incarcerated are the blacks. So why do you think that is? It is not just a Nigerian thing. I think it is a black race thing. And so that is why I said culture is the problem. Do you understand? Okay. Culture is the problem, and it is quite unfortunate. So let me tell you some of the aspects of culture that that we should dismantle. One of them, I think, that is vital, that once we take it out of the way, there will be progress. One of them is dismantling the culture of blame, lack of accountability, the pointing of finger. What am I talking about? Get 10 Nigerians, ask them, why is Nigeria undeveloped? They will tell you, 9 will say the same thing. We have bad leaders. We have corrupt leaders. That is pointing of finger. Go to the United States of America, ask the African Americans in a country that is doing well, why are you poor? Why are you uneducated? They will tell you racism. It's quite disheartening. What is his name? W.E. Boers, the first black man to graduate from Harvard University, the first man to get a PhD in Harvard University. He did his research, and he came up and he said that the reason why blacks are poor in America is because of white prejudice. What is it talking about? Racism. You see, we keep pointing the finger, we keep making excuses, and that ought not to be. That ought not to be. So this is the American situation. Let's go over to South Africa. If you ask them, this is your country, you are the majority, so how come that in your own country you are the most poorest, the most incarcerated, and all of that? They will tell you apartheid. Apartheid was taken away, and guess what they are saying now? Corrupt leaders. That wasn't enough for them. Now they are claiming that the immigrants are the reason why they are having issues. So can you see that we keep pointing the fingers? We keep not being accountable, taking accountability of our actions. Rather, we keep pointing things. So the question is this. Let me tell you this. So there was a time I was scrolling through and I was reading the news on the internet. I was reading an online news, and it started this way. It said, what many people do not know is that Australia is one of the most urbanized countries in the world. It is one of the most developed countries in the world. In fact, Australia has 86% urbanization, and it continued, and it said, but what the world doesn't know that despite inside all of this glamour, there is a part of a part of Australia that is hidden, and that is the fact that there is a rural area in Australia. And what is the news continued, and what is troubling about this rural area is that there's a high rate of crime in this area. In fact, there is this notorious area in this part of the rural part of Australia that has 86% urbanization. That the person continued, there's a story of a nurse who worked with an NGO, and she went there to the rural area for philanthropic endeavor, and she was killed and all of that, and the news kept reading, and it said, in fact, this has been happening and is a constant occurrence, and the news continued, and it said, but recently the authorities of Australia looked into this situation, and they went into this rural area, and a man was apprehended, and the report has it that this man that was apprehended may be the culprit who is responsible for some of this murder. Lo and behold, it was the face of a black man. In a country with 86 urbanization, we still find our way to every single ghetto. It's like a thing of pride. It is like it's the culture, because this is how we know things are done. This is how we were brought up. So I was talking about the blame game, right? I was talking about lack of accountability and irresponsibility, the fact that we are always blaming the political class. So let's talk about the American. If you and I sit down and most times we draw comparison and we say a civilized one like the United Kingdom and the United States of America, they have some of the best political leaders. And if we can have their rulers come over to Nigeria, things will be better, right? But that is not the truth, because these awesome, wonderful rulers, they've ruled their own country, and the blacks somehow remained poor in their country. It baffles me, the fact that the African Americans are the most illiterate in America. And I'm wondering, because when you read things, because America has some of the best universities in the world, and yet that is the situation we find ourselves. So it's the blame game. So here's the thing: you ask a Nigerian, you say, "Oh, it's the politicians. They are stealing our money. They are killing and everything. They are the ones in charge, responsible for the killing," which I don't think is the truth. You ask in South Africa, "Oh, it's apartheid. Oh, you take away apartheid. Oh, it's corruption." Yes, they are saying same now that there's corruption in the government. Yeah, so you take away that from the South Africans, they are not saying, "Oh, it's the immigrants," And you come, okay, there's this funny one I do here in Nigeria. It's actually funny. Then somebody was like, why are we this? Look at other countries. They say, somebody was like, "Oh, Nigeria is just 64 years old. America is should be 250 years old now." So that is his excuse and the deflecting of blame, the pointing of the finger. So what was his point? That if Nigeria should get to 250, it would be better. But the truth is the question rather is Nigeria truly 64 years old? I can't say that Nigeria is, because that argument will hold and wouldn't be an excuse to me if during the amalgamation that all of us were brought on a ship and dumped in Nigeria, but we were existing. Yeah, in fact, if you go back to our history, we're here hundreds of years before the colonial masters came. So the fact that we keep pointing, you ask other people, they'll say it's the colonial master, they stole our resources, you go further, they'll tell you it's racism, you go further, it's always one thing or the other. So it's the blame. I think if we can defeat that culture of blame and take accountability, maybe there will be a solution for us. If we can just take away that thinking. Like I said, it's a culture, because our youth, they come up, and once they grow up and they are of thinking age, and they are wondering why is it that things are the way they are. The next thing that they keep hearing is that our rulers are bad, and that is what you go with, because, like I said, it is culture. You don't consciously learn culture. Culture is an inherited ethical habit. It is something you came into the world, you started hearing, you found out that everybody is doing it, and you went with it.
You don't eat with left hand, you eat with right hands and all that.
And you went with it. So how did we get here, and why are we where we are now? Why are these problems? Yeah, I still believe, and I strongly believe, it is the problem of culture. And the fact, and one of those is also always pointing blame. Like I said, bring the best rulers of these developed worlds. They want to do well in Nigeria, because they've ruled their own country and there was no
improvement
for the blacks in there. So in fact, the blacks there, they have the same reputation with us here. The same thing they are doing over there is probably what we are doing here. So why do we still point the finger? So this is a big problem. And another problem that I want to point out is that of immorality. Like I told you, culture is it's a thing you learn subconsciously. It's passed down to you. Okay? It's a thing you learn subconsciously. It is passed down to you, and you don't think about these things. So you come into the world and it is there.
Already.
So the issue of immorality is that, and the beautiful thing is, like I told you, the beautiful thing is I don't think it's biological a problem. I don't think it is. It is immorality. And like I was trying to explain to you, you see, when you're now growing up, there are things that we call agents of socialization, or the things that will teach you culture and make you understand culture. Agents of socialization, and some of these agents of socialization are the primary ones are the family, your peer group, the school, and the mass media. So if we do not get the right example from these avenues, from these agents of socialization, things will always things in fact I think things are bad, right? Things will continue the way they are. So if the schools can get it right, if the family can get it right, if the places that are supposed to impart on us can get it right, maybe there will be a solution. Do you understand? Do you get what I'm saying? So let's you see, I have an issue. I won't maybe some other time we'll talk about this other agents of socialization. But let's talk about the mass media. The mass media, the African mass media, it's highly toxic. And you know, I do go to schools and I do speak to the youth. And one of my aims is to discourage them or try to let them see the other side of things, so that when you are looking at some things and you know what is expected of you, you won't fall a victim. Mass media, you see, this most of our entertainers. Let me still use the American example. Most of them over there, just check all the African American entertainers. Most of them have been incarcerated. Most of them at one time or the other have been criminally prosecuted for one thing or the other, and it's a trend. Before 50, is either they are thrown into prison, or they are killed, murdered, or they die of drug overdose, or every single thing that is immoral, that gets to them. And these are products of the ghetto culture that we kind of try and sell. So if you look at these, most of these are so-called celebrities. If you listen, I was having a discussion with somebody. I said, let's draw the comparison. At random, pick up a white person's music or something, whatever it is. Put it just a random one, maybe five picks. Then I will say that hip hop, rap. Unfortunately, you can imagine the types of gangster rap. Rap is a black man's thing. So pick 5 and 5, put them beside, listen to them. You will see the difference. One is talking about poetry, one is talking about beauty, one is talking about ethics. Then you listen to the other one and listen to the lyrics and the kind of things that the filth that they vomit, you know. So and the funny thing is, the filth that they vomit is still the things that they carry out as actions, because at the end of the day, is either they die of drug overdose, or they are imprisoned, or one, you know, it just doesn't go well. It just doesn't go well. The career also doesn't last that much. So I find it funny that most of our so-called superstars will put out these dirty lyrics, and at the end of the day, they will come out to campaign for a better society. It's usually not the case, because the truth is, everywhere has to have integrity. Everywhere has to have integrity. So there needs to be a little bit of neatness, a little bit of serene environment for the proper things to work. So if we keep, as Africans, feeding ourselves with the things we feed ourselves with, I don't think there's going to be any more or any much progress made. The things we swallow, the fact that every problem in the country is because of the poor, is because of the leader, we keep blaming them. And mind you, when they say that 200 Nigerians are corrupt, they are not saying the leaders are corrupt. It's the 200 million of us that are corrupt. So it is quite a troubling thing, and nobody takes responsibility, because schools are supposed to be agents of socialization, and schools are the places that we are supposed to get these lessons of proper culture. These schools are the places we are supposed to get. Schools are the places we are supposed to get proper culture. But you and I know the stories we hear every day. So we are not going to sit here, and I'm not going to try and condemn anybody but you know the stories we hear. When you know, there is, the truth is, even if you think that the problem, like I don't believe the problem are the leaders. I don't believe that the problem are the political class, that they are embezzling the funds, which is why Nigeria is the way it is. Like I said, bring the best white presidents, bring them here. It will still be the way we are, because it is all of us. It is and everybody's thing. And unfortunately, we over here, we are what we believe and what we are expecting is that one man should do the magic, and that can never be the case. So it has to be one tree cannot make a forest. It has to be all of us that will put hands together to do things and make them work. So that's these are the things I think. The culture thing, the culture, the blaming, the lack of responsibility, the immoral culture that we have, the things that we market and sell and take in as black people. These things are unheard and show me. I think, and believe me, I think these things are the reason why we are where we are and we have the issues we have. And I say it, and I've said it. You're laughing. And I've said it. It is not our leaders. It's not the fact that the leaders are embezzling funds.
And it's funny how culture is an uncharted ground mostly. We don't like talking about it because it contributes back to our forefathers. Exactly. Okay, so now that we have addressed some of these problems of our country, Nigeria, and the race at large, what do you feel are the solutions to these pressing problems?
Francis Fukuyama, in his book Trust, it has an extra title, but the first word in the title is trust. He said something. He said he was making an analysis, and he said a country would develop not with proper markets, not with better management of funds, or not with proper government even, not with better laws, not with better resources. A country will prosper if there is trust. What he's trying to say is if there is social virtue.
Yes.
Do you understand? If there is social, so his argument and what he's trying to say is that all the things we think will solve our problem will not. Nigeria is a capitalist economy.
Yes.
So that means that each and every one of us, we are allowed to do business and earn and do whatever we want. It's not a socialist economy, because the way we blame the government for everything, it's as if it's a socialist economy. But let me continue with what Francis Fukuyama said. He said that so in an economy where there's trust, what I mean by where there's trust is practically saying where there is morality, where there is ethics imbibed in the people, in the sense that the people have trust. What am I talking about this trust? It means there's integrity, there's honesty, there's trustworthiness, there is people. If I buy goods from you and I sell goods to you, I expect that you hold your own side of the bargain. He said economies that have a high social virtue, that has a high social virtue culture, countries that have this, they do well, they prosper. So if it's not about pumping money into the country, it's about us building a system of value. Because people, believe me, people hear the things that we too will hear. So how would you expect an investor to come into Nigeria when he hears that Nigerians are corrupt, not only the political class, when he hears that there is no truth in us, when he hears that we are the biggest exporters of internal fraudsters, when we hear that majority don't say the truth, those are social capital. There is no social capital, and a country can't be built where there is no social capital, where there is no virtue, where there is no morality in the system. So what his argument is that if a country wants to develop, it's not about the laws, it's not about the government's money. Even if the government is managing the funds, so that is also that shows that the government has social virtue.
Exactly.
So social virtue is actually the underlying cause and the primary cause why things are not the way it is supposed to be. So he's believing that if only we can get out of our system the negative or low trust. He used the word low trust that we have in our country, maybe there will be a progress. Maybe we'll experience progress. So that's one. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that if we can have a proper culture, if we can have a culture of integrity, a culture of truthfulness, a culture of trustworthiness, a culture of moral virtues are believed in and are celebrated, we would definitely get developed. We would definitely get developed because, like I said, it's a culture thing, and we need to correct the wrong culture. I don't know. I'm not trying to incite anything, but I think we should drop this. I tried finding a worthy source news, but however, it was still social media news sites that was carrying the news. The current ongoing xenophobic thing in South Africa. One of the leaders said, if the migrants can go, the country, the South African government has the capacity to pay each of them R1 million or so, for and that they don't need to work. Rather, that's the mentality we have. That's we don't think education is important. We don't think morality is important. We don't think proper ethical standards are important. So if we can delete and defeat this, we keep coming up with excuses. So if we can make away with this excuse, it's not an excuse. Let me. I know of someone who I was overhearing a conversation of someone who said, what's going on? There's a flat there in a particular area, and the person was like, what is going on in this flat? They have 2 generators. They have 2 30 liters of fuel. The generator almost never goes up. I don't know. I've never had an encounter with them. I don't know who they are. But one was like, one laughed. I said, let me tell you the truth. Those are internet fraudsters. That's why their lights never go up. So, if you meet a lot of Nigerian youth and you ask them what's the issue, they'll tell you poor power supply. But you find a way around giving yourself enough electricity to do internet fraud. But you've not found a way. It baffles me. I don't have a solution for this one. The fact that we as Africans, we can be determined, endure the pain, and go through. Let's take, for instance, those that go to Europe by road. That is almost unbelievable. That is it's too much hard work, but we can be determined to do that. We can be. I'm telling. I don't know about it, but I know with the CIA looking at you, with the FBI looking at you, you still are able to defraud Americans of money with the whole checks on all financial institutions. You are still able to swindle people of money. It's not an easy something.
It is not.
So why is it that we are capable of putting energy into doing something illegal, but when they advise us to go the ethical way, we bring up excuses and claim that things are hard. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. So back to your question, the solution, like I believe in the book, in Francis Fukuyama's book, the solution is also building a strong and a powerful social virtue, social capital, removing and dismantling some of these ideas that I've pointed to you. I once shared this. There's a beautiful experiment about how people, remind you, when I say culture, I'm talking about us, human beings.
Yes.
We learn things from each other. We learn things from humans. At a time, so before I give you the experiment I wanted to talk about, at a time in Rome, in Italy, during the Roman Empire, it was a sport. It was entertainment. It was a fun thing for the Romans to get the Christians to the Colosseum and have them for sports. Killing them, killing the Christians was a thing of sport. People will gather in the Colosseum. I would say the Colosseum is like a stadium. Yes. It was an entertainment, and then they'll watch lions rip them apart. They'll watch. It was entertainment. Yes. So Constantine came up, and somehow this culture was done away with, and all of a sudden it became something to be shied away from. It stopped. That culture died. when Constantine brought up his own ideas and stopped it, and said this is not the way to go. So the beautiful thing about culture is that human beings created culture, and human beings can change culture. So we created culture. It's like I said, it's we don't think about it. So but by the time we put in effort and start thinking about these things that we are doing, we can change these things. So the way to start is for all these agents of socialization I've talked about to do their own parts. Like I said, it is not. If our preaching at this moment is that one man should change the country, and that won't fly, because we've had the best rulers. We've had the best. We've had different people rulers. We've had. There was a time of Conjuring when I was in charge of the leadership.
Minister of Finance.
So we've had Christians rulers. We've had Muslims, we've had military, we've had civilians, we've had all get into power. And then, so do you think these people, there was no determination? It's just, what I'm saying is one man cannot do the job. So a tree cannot make a forest. So if the solution is that we should build our social capital, our social virtue, we should build it up, do away with some of these cultures that we have. The truth is, the immoral culture kind of thrives with us, the ghetto mentality. Most and majority of the vices you can think of, we are just at the forefront of it. And if we can do away with these things, I'm telling you, Nigeria will develop faster if everybody is truthful, if everybody is trustworthy, if everybody is loving, if everybody is virtuous. Nigeria will develop faster. You can do business, but everybody is afraid. Everybody is trying to cut corners. Everybody is trying to everybody's trying to steal, everybody's trying to, how do you think we can develop? Do you think that, in what way do you expect the leaders to make those changes? It's a capitalist economy. So if we are to develop, we need to work with ourselves, we need to work with each other, we need to be trustworthy with each other. That's how I see it, and that's what I think.
So you're going to give an experiment,
the experiments, right? So I'm saying, there was this experiment. Is an experiment that shows that people influence who you are. It was an experiment on conformity, on you conforming. Yes. So I've shared it somewhere a while ago where I was. So let's assume. So let me give I'll give an illustration. Let's assume I'm putting on white, right?
Okay.
And I'm the one conducting the experiment. So I bring you in as a participant, and I tell you that there are 7 more persons behind you who are with you. Okay, let's say there are 8 of you, and I tell you that all 8 of you are participants, and this is what I want you to prove to me. I want you to tell me that I'm putting on white. Unknown to you, the other 7 people, I've already spoken to them and told them what to do. You are just the only one, but in your mind, you are one of the 8, but in reality, you are just the only one.
Yes.
Right? And then let's assume I tell you, okay, so this is a professor here. This is a professor. This is a pastor. This is an imam. This is a first class graduate. This is a celebrity. And then I tell them, and maybe they come. I tell them, and I tell you that you're going to go last. So they keep coming. And the first person, and I ask the first person, what color of shirt am I putting? And he says black. And you're like, you probably say, sir, he says black, right? Question, there'll be questions in your mind. Why will he say black? This is a professor, for crying out loud. This is an imam, for crying out loud. This is clearly what. Why is he saying black? Why is he saying black? So another person comes out and says, so the second person comes and I'm like, what color of shirt am I wearing? And he also says black. And it's okay. A professor said black. Maybe the imam said black. So the pastor comes, says black. The first class student comes, says black. The celebrity comes, says black. And you can see it's white. You will begin to doubt in your mind that I'm actually putting on white. Because you are so sure that the people before you, they all can see. So according to that experiment, it was done with a line.
It found out that majority of the participants, some will come, some before even saying this is white will probably say, I'm so confused right now. I don't even know what was the question again. They were confused, but some will even start with making explanation. They'll go with things like, honestly, I can see white, but I don't know why people are saying black. But I'm so confused. Is this black? There's a doubt in your mind. So why is that? That's because everyone around you is saying the same thing, and you feel awkward. You feel out of place to be the one saying something different. So that comes to my solution. If, like I said, one person cannot do it all, but what we are preaching in this country is that one person should do it. So if all of us conform and we pick up one thing and we say this is the right way to go, it will be easier. And I can assure you, the last person who wants to say that this is white. So in that experiment, most majority said, okay, maybe I'm the one with the bad eyesight. Maybe I'm the one that can't remember colors anyway. In fact, the color is black because they don't want to make you feel out of themselves. Because after all, every other person has said black. So that is what I'm trying to tell you about culture. If you see people doing this, you don't think about it. Your own mind is that this is the thing that is done, and this is how it is done here. So you go with it and you do it. That is why everybody. I'm still trying to see someone that you will ask, why is Nigeria undeveloped, and they'll give you another reason. They'll give you another reason. The next thing is the person is not wrong. It's just that this is what he or she has heard. This is what they've been exposed to. This is what everybody is saying. So they're simply conforming. So if we can change the social virtues, if we can become a better people, grow integrity within us, then
okay,
that will change.
We've touched the problems of Nigeria, we've touched the solutions. Now to wrap it up, are you positive, are you optimistic about the future of Nigeria with the current state of our beloved country?
Yeah, well, you have to be optimistic. I'm a naturally optimistic person, so it's the truth is, for every one of us that has the right thinking mind, I think we should say the truth and let's kill the blame culture. Let's kill the pointing of finger culture. Let's accept that things are the way they are because of us. And yes, I strongly believe that it's not for the country.
All right, thank you, Barrister Shine.
Thank
We've
you.
heard from a very, very distinguished and intelligent writer and a scholar. He said culture is a major problem in Nigeria. Until we see you next time, thank you very much for coming, sir.
Thank you very much.
Do have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.